Welcome to today's Explainer. We've all been there, standing right on the edge of a major life change. It's that profound and honestly kind of intimidating space between an ending and a beginning. Well, today we are diving deep into a fascinating, highly metaphorical story that perfectly captures that feeling. Chapter 8, titled The Dawn Behind the Door. We're going to walk through this narrative step by step to see exactly how it masterfully navigates our very human fear of the unknown. So, let's step through that door together.
So picture this. Our story kicks off with our protagonist, Aki, making a literal leap of faith. He steps through a slightly open door, and instead of some blinding magical light, the world around his hometown just begins to dissolve. When he finally opens his eyes, he's standing on a completely unfamiliar shore. And right there's a mysterious girl building a sandcastle. She looks up at him, smiles like she's known him her whole life, and simply says, "You're late." Think about that shared confusion we all feel when stepping into a totally new reality. You're expecting this grand fanfare, but instead you're hit with the quiet, disorienting realization that the world has already moved on without you, and you just have to catch up.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast here is absolutely crucial. It tells us exactly where Aki has landed, both mentally and physically. For the entire journey leading up to this point, the sea has been this heavy, burdened thing. The old sea held onto memories, it displayed ancient legends, and it constantly reflected every single future possibility. It was literally a sea of data and lore. But the sea Aki is looking at right now, it doesn't do any of that. It's just a sea. It's real, it's calm, and it's alive. It's a beautiful illustration of that exact moment when you finally stop overthinking your past, you stop agonizing over potential futures, and you just exist in the grounded, quiet reality of the present moment. Moving on to our first major mystery in this chapter, the girl from nowhere, and her role as the anomaly in the system. So, when Ayaki asks this mysterious sandcastle builder who she is, she just shrugs and drops this wild answer, "Nobody yet." And let me tell you, this absolutely baffles the cosmic observers of this universe. Far away, up in the Library of Memory, Sora and the ocean are watching this interaction, and they are completely shocked. Why? Because this girl is a total glitch in the Matrix. They search for her everywhere, but she's not in the memories, she's not in the calculated possibilities, she's not even among the legends. She is completely unwritten. She exists entirely outside of all known, recorded data. And this triggers a massive, massive epiphany for the First Keeper. After billions of years of existence, after literally seeing it all, he realizes the truth about this girl. She belongs to the next story. This is such a powerful framing for us as readers. It's exactly like that distinct moment in life when it suddenly clicks that the rules, the characters, and the data of your past just cannot dictate your path forward anymore. This girl represents a completely blank page, 100% free from the baggage of everything that came before her. All right, let's get into the next section, building and destroying castles, and the metaphor of the sand. So get this, the girl finishes building her little sandcastle, and then, without even a second thought, she just destroys it with a single motion of her hand. Bam, gone. Aki, naturally, is totally shocked. He asks her why, and her response is just wonderfully simple, to build another. And wow, does this brilliantly illustrate the art of letting go. She doesn't mourn the castle. She doesn't try to freeze it in time or lock it in a display case. She understands that the joy and the actual purpose are in the creation itself. And that destruction, well, that's just a necessary step to clear the space so you can start building all over again. Now contrast her casual destruction with the Keeper's rigid philosophy. For literal eons, they've had one job, right? Preserve all histories, protect stories from fading, and guard the past at all costs. They are basically cosmic hoarders of memory. So when the girl says she destroys something just to build another, it is a radical, totally disruptive idea. It sends a shockwave through the very foundation of how this entire universe operates. Which brings us right to the emotional climax of today's explainer, the ocean's greatest fear, and facing the inevitable. Back on the beach, the girl turns to Aki and asks a question that I want us to ponder right alongside him. Do you know what the ocean feared most? Aki guesses loneliness, which, is a really fair guess considering the absolute vastness of the sea. But let's pause for a second and let the weight of that question really hang in the air. What does an ancient, all-knowing entity actually fear? The girl shakes her head. Nope, not loneliness. The end. Aki is super confused by this. He points out that there's no end, right? Stories just continue. But the girl smiles this huge smile because that is exactly what the ocean has finally realized. The ocean's ancient cosmic fear is actually identical to our very human dread of chapters closing in our own lives. We hold on to relationships, we hold on to jobs and past versions of ourselves because we are just absolutely terrified of the end. But here's the kicker. Here is how this text beautifully, totally redefines that concept. The end is not a permanent erasure. It is not some dark disappearance into the void. It is simply the necessary act of freeing up space for future stories to exist. I mean, you can't build a new sandcastle if the beach is entirely covered with old ones, right? The end is actually a mechanism for creation, rather than a mechanism for destruction. And literally the second this shift in understanding happens, the universe responds. The girl points up to the sky, where a new star ignites. Now, what's so fascinating here is that the text specifically notes this isn't some massive, blinding, super magical star. No, it's just an ordinary star, but it radiates this unmistakable, profound feeling of a beginning. It perfectly represents a clean, fresh start, one that isn't born out of some dramatic explosion, but just out of a quiet, completely natural progression. And that takes us to our final section, the unwritten future and letting go of the sphere. For the literal first time in this entire saga, the ocean experiences a total monumental paradigm shift. First, he stops looking back at the past. Second, he stops looking at the memories and legends. And finally, he looks forward to where he has never been. In an instant, he transforms from this stubborn protector of what was to a hopeful observer of what will be. But hey, change is scary, right? Especially for those who are super accustomed to preserving everything. Back in the library, Sora is in full panic mode. She sees one of the oldest memory spheres physically beginning to dissolve. A beloved, ancient story is literally vanishing into thin air right before her eyes. For a preservationist like her, this is the ultimate nightmare scenario. She cries out that the story is disappearing. But the ocean just stops her. He answers quietly, "No. It ended." And the text makes a point to show that for the first time in millions of years, his voice sounds genuinely happy. He has finally accepted that endings are completely 100% natural. He isn't mourning the loss of the sphere at all. He's celebrating the fact that it lived its full life, it reached its natural conclusion, and now it's making room for the new. This moment right here, this captures the ultimate takeaway of our entire explainer. On one hand, we have Sora's view, which is entirely grounded in fear. The story is disappearing and being lost forever. But the Ocean's Evolved view changes the whole game. The end of one story is the exact same thing as the beginning of another. It's such a profound reminder of why letting go of our own personal past narratives can actually be incredibly liberating. And this brings us right back down to that quiet beach. The girl stretches her hand out to Aki and asks, "Let's go?" Aki, who is definitely still taking all this new reality in, asks, "Where?" She looks out at the endless horizon where a brand new dawn is breaking, and she delivers the final, most beautiful line of the chapter, "To where no one has written anything yet." It's literally an invitation to step into the absolute unknown, totally unburdened by everything that came before. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to turn this beautiful allegory into your own personal reflection. When your current story inevitably ends, what will you write in your own uncharted, unwritten future? Don't fear the dissolving spheres in your life. Embrace the blank page. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I will see you on the next explainer.